Dear brothers and sisters, as we have opportunity to travel, um, I have a chance to go to many, many different parts of the world. And it's the love of the great masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and Dayal Purush and Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, which draws many, many people together because our goal is one and the same. We're all searching for ourselves and we are searching for the union of our soul with God. And irrespective of whatever faiths we were brought up in, irrespective of whatever cultures we come from, and whatever backgrounds we might have, our goal is one and the same. And so the beauty of the path is that we find people from all different walks of life, different parts of the world, gathered together because the goal is exactly the same. And the synergies of being together, the synergies of having opportunities to be together, to take steps towards a goal, are what makes the heart more fonder of the path, and the love of God is what drives us towards our goal. As we get together, we find that there are many, many benefits that come to each and every one of us. Just being together by other like minded people is an opportunity to share of our experiences, share of their experiences, and then be able to be guided towards our goal. Being together also gives us the impetus to make changes in our own life, which would make our spiritual journey happen quicker. We all have a goal. We all want to reach there. And we can reach our goals in this very lifetime, is what the great saints and mystics have been telling us. That to be with God is not something that we have to wait till we physically die. To be with God is an experience that we can have while we are in this physical body. And so the process of being able to be one with God, the process which is called meditation or inversion or sitting in silence, is one which takes practice, which takes an effort on our part, and which, when done regularly, will make our travels towards our home come very, very rapidly. Each one of our faiths has places which we feel are more holier than others. And the more difficult it is to get to them, it seems like the more effort we have to put in to get there. We feel that the benefits are going to be tremendous. So many of you who've come here from many different parts of the world, you might have airline delays, you might have flights cancelled, rerouted. But now that you're here, hopefully we all have an opportunity to use the time that we are together for our spiritual growth to come in leaps and bounds. As I travel and as I have opportunities to go to many different parts of the world, which I did in the last few months, I find that people, wherever they're living, whatever part of the world they're from, whatever faiths they're from, whatever culture they're from, whatever their financial states are, the people are one and the same. Their needs are the same. Their attention, when you think towards God, comes in the same manner. And the joys that they have when they go on the spiritual journey are the same, irrespective of wherever they're from. And so, as we have opportunities to share in this spiritual journey, opportunities of being together, it's is the understanding that there's no difference between us and anyone else. Most people, when they pass through life, feel like they only are close to just a few people, some in their own families, some in their own faith, some in their own culture, some from their own country. And those are the people that we connect with. And we don't realize that irrespective of whatever part of the world someone is born in, irrespective of whatever faith they belong to or they follow, that we all are one and the same. And it's when we get into gatherings where we find people from all faiths and all walks of life, in all cultures, that we start to understand the principle of fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man. And in this age, we should also say sisterhood of woman. Because in the old days, man used to encompass males and females. That's how the word was used. But now things have changed. And so the realization that we're all connected, even though we look different, we speak different languages, our way of doing things are different, our understandings are different, that we're all one and the same. And that realization brings harmony into our life. When we feel we're different than someone else, then there's always a wall. Because you feel you're different than someone else, and so their understanding is different. How much can you expose yourself to them? How much should you be open with them? But as soon as you feel you're one and the same, then there's no walls, there's no difficulty. Then we realize that everyone is the same, and it's then that the true understanding of the fatherhood of God or the motherhood of God sets in. That we as an individual are all connected, and our connection is through the Creator. And that is what we experience as we meditate and as we go on the spiritual journey. And so the saints are always saying, like whenever we have a chance to be in the presence of a saint, we should leave all our difficulties on the outside and come there not to relieve of our physical difficulties or our emotional difficulties or our financial difficulties. We should be there for spiritual upliftment. So the difficulties in the other arenas need to be left outside. And we need to be in that arena with a state in which we are open to partake of the spiritual radiation which is coming in our direction. And so, if we are in the satsang arena and our attention is on the physical body or our emotional state, or a mental state, or a financial state, then that means that our system is then consumed with our attention being of those arenas. And so, when the spiritual upliftment comes to us, we are not able to partake of it. And so the saints have always said that we should leave those things on the outside. And when the true benefits come to us, which come to us as we have spiritual rejuvenation, as the soul goes on the spiritual journey, then we'll find that all other aspects of life will also start to get better and better and better. It's how we look at life that makes us feel whether there's a pain or that situation is fruitful. So there's a very interesting anecdote. This is about a ship. Ship was in the ocean, and there were too many storms came, and somehow the ship capsized, and most people on the ship did not make it. So one person somehow knew a little better swimming than others, got to an island, and he found himself there. And as he looked around, no one else from the ship could be found there. So as he's staying there, he somehow came in, as the story is told. He must have a pad and a pencil and a pen. I don't know how he made it, but That's how the story is told. So he started making a list, saying what is that is happening bad to me and what is that is happening good to me. So he thinks to himself, he says, oh, I'm all alone here. So that's pretty bad. There's no one else to get help from, no one else to talk to, there's no one else that I can communicate with. So in this column in the bad, he wrote, the ship got wrecked and no one survived, and so I'm here. And then good says, he writes, so no one survived, but I survived. Says God's grace, I'm still alive. And so that's the good part. And so there's nothing to worry about, at least I'm alive. In the next line he writes, I never learned how to cook. Very bad. How am I going to feed myself? Because if I'm here, it's not that, my wife can cook for me or my mom can cook for me. I never learned how to cook. Very bad. And then he said, on the good column he's reading, oh, there's so many fruit trees here. I'm going to be a raw eater. I can eat raw food. I've been thinking about it for so many years and never got to it. Always had cooked food. So maybe this is the time to try all the raw food. I can have the apples and the pears and the bananas and whatever else was there and all the other vegetables. And so I don't need to learn how to cook. Then he's thinking, I have no weapons. I'm by myself here, there's a forest here, and what if the animals come and they attack me? I have no weapons. That's very bad. And then he wrote, under the good, he wrote, at least, there's a big beach here. I don't see any one of those animals. And hopefully there's none of them in the forest. And so that's the good thing. I've never seen in the last few days any animal. So I can survive well. And one after another, he's writing one thing or another. One place starts to write, I only have this pair of clothes. And what if it gets very cold, how am I going to survive? That's very bad. And then he wrote, in the last few days I've been seeing it's been pretty warm out here, so I don't need that many clothes here. So he's writing what he thinks is bad, and then he's writing what he thinks is good. And after he's done with the list, he realizes that for everything that's bad, there's something that's good. And the saying that there's a silver lining to every cloud started set into him. And this is what our life is all about. We always worry about this thing is not right with me, or I'm now having difficulties with my physical body, or my relationships are not working better, or I'm not making enough money to be able to provide for everyone. And so we just focus on what is bad. What we don't realize is you need to go to the hospital to see what difficulties can be with a human being physically. You go to a hospital and you come back and you pray to God that you're not in one of those beds. At least we are alive, we can walk, we're on our own. You come to your house, you eat some meals every day, maybe 3, 4, 2, 1, depending on whatever special diets you guys are on. Nowadays, there's all kinds of systems that people use. So there's food that we all get. We also find that if a difficulty comes in, as we grow, we find with time it fades away. It's not that it's going to stay there forever. We might have a physical difficulty, but then some solutions do come in. We have a financial problem, then some other solutions do come in. And so one needs to lead life with a positive attitude. And then only are we going to reach our goals. Because if we start to look at things from the angle of this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and then we try our very best to fix this thing and that thing and that thing, we create so much turmoil for ourselves that we're never at peace. We're always worried. Why this thing happened, number one, and how do I fix it, number two? And all of our time just goes is wasted just in that scenario. We forget that our real self, our soul, has been given just a very small time for it to experience itself and know God. Our soul was transmigrating from one existence to another. And so it's been eons and eons since we've been separated from the Creator. And God was very gracious to give us this human existence in which God has provided with all the faculties that are required by us to know God. And so we need to make good use of this opportunity. And that use comes as we start to first recognize that we are soul, we're not the body, we're not our mind, we're not our brains, which is what we think we are all the time. And then we need to see, just like the body needs food to eat, the mind needs the stimulus of gaining knowledge. Is the soul which needs to be nurtured. And the nurturing of the soul comes when we connect with the divine creative power which is within each and every one of us. And that is the divine light and the divine sound of God. And so to connect with that power, we need to be sitting in silence. And that's what meditation is all about. To take our attention away from the world outside, to focus it within ourselves, because the power of God is reverberating within each and every one of us. And then to be able to nurture our soul, so that our soul, which has been away from receiving that nurturing, then with time starts to come its own glory. And that's what meditation does. That's what meditation is all about. So that our soul can be nourished, our soul can experience of itself as it is, and our soul can then travel back to the Creator, and with time and practice and help, our soul can merge back in the Creator. And so this life needs to be looked at positively. We all many times get bogged down by the difficulties that we have. We live in a very stressful environment these days, because so much information being blasted at us from all sides that it is very difficult for us to deal with it. And this is why today we find many more people feel they are stressed, and people feel the emotional difficulties. And because of the stressful lives, it also starts to affect our physical lives. And so we find many younger people at younger ages have physical ailments, seem like would come in an older age otherwise. It's the lifestyle, is the times that we're passing through, it's the information explosion world that we're living in, which wants so much attention from us that our system gets tired. How many people can you deal with? And then the news is coming from all over the place, not only from the area where we live, not only from our country, but other countries and all kinds of things. And so the explosion of information is also like tiring our system, because it needs time. It needs attention to be uh, first to gain that information, to then process the information, then to store the information, then to use the information. So you have to, if you have any information, you have to do many things with it. We're all kind of bogged down because of the environment in which we live. And the negativity is the trait of the mind. The mind is always wanting us to be negative. It doesn't want us to get closer to God. And so it keeps us away from God, and it keeps us entangled in the activities of the world. Useless things become important to us. We don't realize that this lifetime is just for a very short period, and if we don't reach our goal, we're physically going to die anyway. Every day we hear about people passing away, whether they were 40 years old or 50 years old or 60 or 80 or 90 or 100. Physically, every day, thousands of people pass away all around the globe. Now, did they use those years that they had in the physical body properly? Is a question that we all need to think about when we start to look at someone who was close to us who passed away. Because Even though we know thousands of people pass away every day, it doesn't bother us, because when someone very close to us passes away, then it bothers us. Because it's a relationship with them. It's how much we know them. It's how close we are to them. That's the effect that happens on us, because we feel a part of them. And so when someone very close to us passes away, then one starts to think about life itself. And it's then that you start to think, what happened? What could have been better? And it's then that many people start to think about what can they do for themselves to make good use of their life. We all have this one life to live, in which the saints are telling us we can reach our goal. We can be with God. We can be off the wheel of transmigration. And as Sant Singh Maharaj would often say, he would say, what one man can do, so can another. So whatever one person can do, another one can do too. So he would say it's not the right of the saints or the mystics or the yogis or the rishis to be able to know God. That all human beings have an birthright to know God. We're all children of God. We need to be able to focus on our goal. And if we focus on our goal, and if we focus our attention on where we want to be, and take the necessary steps to get to our goal, then we'll get there. It's very interesting. After Sant Singh Maharaj had physically left this world, as we know, we had a chance to go through many of his belongings. Okay? And so in his belongings was a diary of Sant Singh Maharaj, which he must have inherited from Sant Singh Maharaj. And so as I had a chance many years ago, as we were going through, all the literature and all the paperwork the Master Darshan had, then we got this diary, and I started going through them. And there were many very, very interesting things in there. But the one that I want to talk about is, in one of the pages, Sant Singh Maharaj had made a drawing. And drawing was like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And he written step by step on the side. That to get our goal, we can't think like today we are sitting here, we're going to know God tomorrow. We take one step and then we rest a little bit, we get better, then we take another step, rest away, we take a third step, rest. It's not we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we get there, It takes a while. And so we can get to a goal, but we need to plan properly, we need to execute properly. The way has been told to us by the spiritual saints and mystics. But we need to be able to put that into practice in our own lives. And this is why when we read the sayings of the great saints and mystics, they're always exhorting us to meditate, to sit in silence. And when we look at history and look at the life of the great saints and mystics, they all sat in silence. Whether they call it praying with attention or sitting in silence, whether they were in a monastery or whether they were under a bow tree like Lord Buddha, or whether they were in a cave meditation like some of the saints in the Indian traditions, or they were in the forest meditating. That was that experience of being in silence, where they had taken out the distractions of the world outside. They focused within themselves. Is then that they had communion with God. And it was their experiences that they started to tell their disciples, so that the disciples could also reach the same states. And so this side of each faith is what is called the esoteric side of a faith. And unfortunately, that side is lost. Today, we all use our faiths in the exoteric side of the faith. We all have our rites and rituals when we go to a place of worship. And when we go through the rites of rituals, we feel we're done. Not realizing that there's the inner side of a faith, which is the basis on which our faith is built. And that inner side of the faith is one and the same for each one of the faiths. It's very interesting when you read the experience of the great saints and mystics who came in all traditions, all faiths, all walks of life, in all parts of the world, that the words might be different, but what they're telling us is one and the same. They're all talking about the spiritual journey. They're talking about connection with God. Someone might talk about it as a merger of a soul and God. Another might talk about it as being betrothal to God, like being married to God. And then someone might talk about it as belonging to God. Different words have been used for that same experience. And based on the times and based on the languages, different words were used because those were the words that were there. Because to talk about a spiritual experience in the words of the physical world is very difficult. We all look at sunsets and sunrises. Yeah. And the colors that we see are very, very beautiful to us. Now, none of us can exactly give a name to each color that we see. We can only give names to the colors that we know: red, green, orange, blue, and the colors in this world that we know. But when we have a sunset, there's so many other experiences that we have where there are no words. So what do we say? Oh, it was very beautiful. I've never seen it like that before. And the next day we see the sun, it's very beautiful. But it's different from the first one. But we don't have any words to explain the difference. And the same thing happens with the spiritual experiences. The spiritual experience is so difficult to explain in any language because nothing is adequate enough to explain that. And that experience is experience of consciousness. And the words are only talking about physical consciousness, and the words that we have are only about what we experience in the physical world. And so when we start to talk about experiences beyond the physical world, then we have to experience them on ourselves. And even then, we might not be able to tell someone of what that experience is because the words are not there. We can say, "Oh, I felt so good. It was so nice and warm. And, it was so peaceful." Those are the words we have. But it's the experience which transforms you. And how it transforms you, you don't know. But it transforms you. It makes you more peaceful, makes you more calm, makes you more happy, makes you live in harmony with the divine. But you can't explain that. But it happens to you, and you find the change coming, with time. And so it's that experience that we all need to have. And the more of that experience that we can have, the better in tune with the Creator we are. And the key is to be in tune with God. Sandarshan Singh Ji Maharaj, one beautiful verse, he says, "नहीं जानता कि मैं क्या तुझसे मांगूं, जो मेरे लिए है भला चाहता हूं." He says, "Oh God, I don't know what to ask for you. Whatever you think is right for me, please give that to me." The same thing saying, "Sweet is thy will." But we all want sweet is my will. Because we say, "God, I want this. And if I get this, then I will come to the place of worship 50 times in the next 50 days. If I pass my exam, then I'm going to come and do langar in the satsang." We say, "Sweet is my will. God, I want this. Now, if you give me this, then I will do this for you." Not realizing that we can't be in business with God. Because God doesn't need anything from us. God owns it all. Everything is God's. The creation is God. This physical planet is God. All the planets are God. The whole creation is God. So why would God need anything from us? We just want to be in tune with God. And that is why that principle of sweet is thy will, or in the sixth scripture it says, Tera bhana meetha lage, which is the same translation, sweet is thy will. It's like we live under God's will. And that change in our vision comes as we meditate. Because if we've only heard about God, we haven't experienced God. If we read about God, we haven't experienced God. So it's when we meditate and we have that experience within ourselves, then we know the presence of God, because no one is, when we connect with the true primal manifestation of God, that being the divine light and the divine sound of God, we know no one's taking a torch here and putting it right in front of our eyes. We know that there's an experience which is beyond the physical. And as we meditate and as we have more and more of those experiences, then we realize that we are getting closer and closer to the Creator. And the closer we get to God, the better off we all are going to be, because then we'll be more in harmony with God. And as we have that experience, then within ourselves, we will feel that we want to be with God, because those experiences are calming experiences, they're joyous experiences, they're loving experiences. And it's that experience which makes us again and again sit to meditate. Let's meditate for a few minutes. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeballs should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who've been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. I pray to God Almighty to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within. And it's my prayer to the three great spiritual masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and Dayal Purush Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us experience the divine light and its effulgence, and to be able to soar into the inner spiritual regions. I will be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off. Please leave off.